knocking is coming from the back of the mirror. Not the front. The back. The side facing the wall. The side with nothing behind it but drywall and a stud. Camille measured herself with a laser level 4 months ago, before any of this started. She bought the house through the Detroit Land Bank Authority, the same program that's made Victorian houses in this city go viral on TikTok for selling at a fraction of their value. 3 bedrooms. Original woodwork. A sealed room in the basement the listing never mentioned, because the seller, the city, didn't know it was there either. Camille is a licensed home inspector. She inspected this house herself before she bought it. She found the mold. She found the knob and tube wiring behind the kitchen wall. She did not find the sealed room, because a 40-year-old boiler was standing in front of the door, and she trusted her own eyes more than she trusted moving a boiler that wasn't hers yet. It's 3:14 in the morning. The mirror is facing the wall. Someone or something is knocking from the side that has no glass. Camille is on her hands and knees in the upstairs hallway, peeling 40 years of beige paint off a baseboard with a heat gun and a putty knife, when her phone buzzes against the floor. Sunday, 11 a.m. Accra time, which means it's 7 a.m. in Detroit, which means it's the only call she never lets go to voicemail. She answers before the second ring. Her grandmother's face fills the screen, wrapped in the same yellow headscarf she's worn in every call for 6 years. Camille has a photo of it pinned above her desk at work, taken on a video call 2 Christmases ago, because it's the first thing she looks for every Sunday morning. Her grandmother asks about the house. Camille holds the phone up so she can see the hallway, the half-stripped baseboard, the light coming through original 1887 glass that's still slightly wavy at the bottom. It's good work, her grandmother says. Slow work is good work. Camille laughs and says she knows. She knows. She's a home inspector. She of all people knows exactly what slow and careful work is worth. It's a joke they've had for years. Ever since Camille caught her own contractor cousin cutting corners on a porch rail 2 summers ago and never let him forget it. She is exacting. She trusts a level and a flashlight over anyone's opinion, including, most of the time, her own gut feeling when it disagrees with her own eyes. By the time the call ends, the sun has moved enough to light up the whole hallway gold, and Camille sits back on her heels in the middle of her own house, paint chips in her hair, completely happy. The flooding starts on a Wednesday in March. Old water mains finally giving up. Exactly the kind of failure the city's water department had been warning residents about since its 2024 infrastructure report. Camille's basement takes 4 inches in 2 hours. She calls a contractor named Hank, who's already pulled up the warped paneling along the south wall by the time she gets home, and behind it, where her own inspection report says, solid masonry, no concerns, there's a door. A real door, with a hasp and a padlock rusted into one solid piece. Hank cuts it with bolt cutters. Behind it is a room the size of a closet, dry as a bone despite the flood 2 feet away, and standing against the far wall is a mirror. It's close to 5 feet tall, in an oval mahogany frame somebody painted black a long time ago. The paint cracked and curled at the edges, showing warm brown wood underneath like a scab pulled back. The glass inside is original, slightly warped, the kind that makes a straight line look like it's breathing. There's a smell coming off it, faint and sulfuric, that Camille blames on the flood water 2 feet away. She tries to shift it, and it barely moves. 5 feet of wood and glass should weigh maybe 60 pounds, and this one fights her like it's bolted down. Her sleeve drags across the frame and makes a sound like fingernails over teeth. She blames the rotted wood. When she leans in close, her breath fogs the glass, and the fog clears at the edges first, slow in the middle, like something warm is sitting just behind it. She doesn't think about that for more than a second. She's too busy running her hands along the frame, already calculating what a sealed 1880s room does for the house's market story. Hank doesn't touch it. He stands in the doorway with his arms crossed and says he'll wait for her outside. Camille barely hears him. She's found, sealed into her own basement, a piece of the original 1887 deed, listed, she'll learn that night, as a fixture of the property, and she can't stop smiling. The morning after, Camille carries the mirror upstairs into the spare room. She wants natural light on the frame for photos. For insurance, she tells herself. She finds her own 3 succulents and the pothose vine she's kept alive for 6 years, all dead on the windowsill. Not wilted. Not browning at the tips the way succulents do when she forgets to water them. Dead in place. Every leaf a uniform pale white. The pothose curled into itself like it's been pulled from a freezer and set back down exactly where it stood. She picks up one of the succulent pots and the whole plant comes apart in her hand, dry as paper. She buys 3 new plants that same afternoon from a shop on Woodward. By Friday, all 3 are the same chalky white, in the same windowsill, in a room that gets the same light it's always gotten. She calls the water department and asks about lead in the new service line. They tell her nothing's flagged for her address. You've probably had a plant die before and blamed yourself for forgetting it existed. This isn't that. This is faster than dying should be allowed to happen. A week later, her coworker Marcus is riding with her to a job site in Grosse Pointe when he asks, halfway through a sentence about a roof inspection, if she's been sleeping. Camille says of course she has. He points out that she said the same square footage number twice, like she lost the thread and just picked it back up from where she started. She laughs it off. That night she calls her grandmother at 2 a.m. Detroit time, which is 6 a.m. in Accra, 2 hours before their usual Sunday call and on a Tuesday. Her grandmother answers anyway, half asleep, the yellow headscarf crooked from sleep. Camille doesn't know what she wanted to say. She says she just wanted to hear her voice, and hangs up after 90 seconds. Her grandmother calls back twice. Camille doesn't pick up either time. She tells herself she's just been busy, between the new house and her current caseload, and that everyone loses a plant or forgets a number sometimes. She doesn't think about the mirror once, not consciously, even though she started leaving her bedroom door open at night so she can see down the hall to the spare room where it stands. 3 weeks after the mirror comes upstairs, Camille stands in a finished basement in Grosse Pointe and looks directly at a wall where someone cut into the framing to widen a doorway, and writes, "No structural concerns noted." She has done 400 inspections. She has never missed a load-bearing wall. A second inspector, hired after the buyer's lender notices the sag in the floor above, catches it 9 days later. The closing falls through 48 hours before the buyers were supposed to get their keys. Her supervisor closes his office door and says her name in the tone people use right before they take something away from someone. He pulls her from 3 upcoming contracts pending review. She watches his mouth move and genuinely cannot remember. 20 minutes later, walking out to her car. She remembers being in her driveway. Nothing in between. She calls her grandmother that Sunday like always, because some part of her still knows that Sunday at 11 a.m. Accra time is sacred, even with everything else falling apart. Her grandmother is in her usual chair, yellow headscarf, the window behind her open to the sound of a rooster 2 compounds over. They talk for 6 minutes about nothing, about the weather, about a cousin's wedding. Then her grandmother's face changes, not fear yet, just confusion, the look of someone trying to read a word that stopped making sense. She asks Camille who is standing behind her. Camille says no one is. Her grandmother says the woman in the black is standing right behind her, close enough to touch her shoulder, and her hand starts to shake on the phone. The phone falls. You know that sound, a phone hitting tile, and how long the silence after it lasts. Camille hears it hit the floor before the screen goes dark, and in the half-second before it does, she sees the yellow headscarf hit the tile. It takes Camille 4 hours and 3 phone calls to a cousin in Accra to learn her grandmother is in the hospital with what the doctors are calling an acute confusional episode, a stroke risk they're still ruling out. She is stable. She keeps asking the nurses who the woman in the black dress is. That night Camille watches the call recording 4 times. There is no woman behind her. There is only the wall of her bedroom, and in the corner of the frame, barely in shot, the mirror, which she turned to face the wall 3 days earlier because it had started to unsettle her in a way she couldn't name. In the recording, facing the wall, there is a shape in the glass. Oval. Upright. It moves, very slightly, the way a person shifts their weight from one foot to the other. She tells herself it's a reflection off the window, a trick of compression, a glitch in the codec, 3 explanations in one breath, which is usually how she knows she doesn't believe any of them. There's no window at that angle. There's nothing in that corner that could throw a reflection like that, because there is no light source behind the mirror at all. She sits on the edge of her bed for a long time after that, in a house that has gone completely silent, and for the first time since she carried that mirror up from the basement, she lets herself think the word she's been avoiding. Camille spends 2 days in the property records room at the Wayne County Register of Deeds, the kind of place with fluorescent lights and microfiche machines nobody under 40 knows how to use, because if there's one thing she trusts more than her own gut, it's a paper trail. She finds the original 1887 deed for her own house. Stapled to the back of it, in handwriting that's gone brown and thin with age, is a note dated September 1889. It records the death of a woman named Liselott Brandt, in the cellar room by fire, and a notation that the household's mirrors were to be sealed per custom, the room shut, the glass covered, that her soul find no door out. Beneath that, in different ink, someone has written one more line, covering not completed before sealing. Room locked by order of the family. Camille reads it 3 times standing up before she sits down. She learns, that same afternoon, with 2 days of half-buried memory of her grandmother's stories about funerals back home finally clicking into place, that what she's looking at isn't superstition exclusive to one culture. It's a documented practice in Victorian-era American and European households, including the German immigrant communities that built half the houses on her own block. When someone died in a home, every mirror got covered, because people believed a soul could be trapped behind the glass on its way out of the world. In certain neighborhoods, the practice went further. A mirror in the room where someone died wasn't just covered. It was sealed inside that room, locked, in case the soul had already gone in and needed to be kept there. Liselott Brandt died before anyone finished the ritual. The room was locked instead. For 136 years, it stayed locked, until a water main failure and a contractor with bolt cutters opened it back up. Camille's hands are shaking by the time she photographs the note on her phone. Not from cold. She drives straight home, walks past the mirror without looking at it, and starts packing her car. She doesn't know the ritual. She doesn't think she needs it. She just needs the mirror gone, off her property, out of her life, somewhere a 136-year-old dead woman can't follow a U-Haul. Camille drives the mirror, wrapped in 2 moving blankets and bungee cord, to Riverside Park just after 6 a.m. before the dog walkers and the rowers show up. She backs her car right up to the railing along the Detroit River, where the current runs fast and cold even in June, fed by water coming down from Lake Claire. It takes her almost 20 minutes alone to wrestle the mirror over the railing. It's heavier than 5 feet of wood and glass has any right to be. And when it finally goes, it doesn't float. It goes straight down, fast, the black frame disappearing under gray water in under 4 seconds. No bubbles, no drift downstream. Just gone. She stands at the railing for a long time afterward, breathing the cold morning air off the water, and she cries, not from sadness, but relief, the kind a body releases on its own, without asking permission. She drives home with the windows down. She calls her grandmother's hospital room and talks to a nurse who says there's been small improvement. She showers. She sleeps for 11 hours, the first real sleep in 3 weeks, and wakes up starving, almost happy. Then she walks downstairs to make coffee. The mirror is standing in her front hallway. Upright. Dripping. A puddle spreading out from the base across her hardwood floor. River water, she can smell it. The same faint mineral smell from the water 2 feet from her front door. The black paint on the frame is wet and beading. The glass is fogged from the inside. She doesn't scream. She can't. Her body won't let air past her throat for what feels like a full minute. You know that feeling, the one where your legs decide before your brain does. Hers decide to back into the kitchen doorway and stop. The fabric strip stapled across the top of the frame, the black mourning veil, hangs heavier now, soaked through, dripping in a slow, even rhythm onto the floor. Drip. 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 Not from gravity. The rhythm's too even. Too patient. She locks herself in the kitchen for 40 minutes before she can make herself walk back out. When she does, the puddle is still there. The mirror is still there. It hasn't moved an inch. It doesn't need to move. It's already won that part. Camille sits on her own kitchen floor with her back against the cabinet and finally understands, completely, that there is nowhere on the Detroit River, or anywhere else in this city, that she can put this mirror down and walk away from it for good. Preservation Detroit's director sees the photo of the note. He makes one call. 40 minutes later, a pastor calls back. East Side Lutheran Church. 3 generations of funerals behind him. He doesn't ask many questions. He tells her what should have happened in 1889. She needs cloth. Not just any cloth. Something that belonged to Lieselot herself. Visual. Camille working as screwdriver under the staples at the top of the frame. Camille works as screwdriver under the staples that night. Behind the black veil, pressed flat for over a century, there's a second scrap. Smaller. Hand-stitched. It still smells like smoke. The knocking starts at 2:58 a.m. Louder this time. Closer. From the back of the glass. The side with no glass at all. Camille doesn't run. She kneels down. Burned fabric in both hands. She does exactly what the pastor said. She covers the glass completely. Edge to edge. No gaps. The knocking stops mid-knock. You can feel a silence like that before your ears catch up. In the morning, she wraps the whole mirror in black cloth. Windows open. Daylight only. She carries it down to the basement herself. Back into the small sealed room. She closes the door. This time she locks it. The next morning, she drives to the land bank office. She signs the house back to the city. No dispute. No explanation. She doesn't look back at the house once. 3 days later, the listing goes back up. Same photos. Same words. 3BR Victorian. As is. Motivated seller. Price to move. It already has 4 saves. So that's the story of the Detroit Mirror. Or at least the parts of it Camille's been willing to talk about since. Most of us aren't buying 100-year-old Victorian houses with sealed basement rooms. But a lot of us have got something secondhand sitting in our home right now, bought off Facebook Marketplace, picked up at an estate sale, grabbed for $5 at a thrift store on a whim, and we never once asked where it came from or who had it before us. If you've ever bought something secondhand and it came with a history you didn't ask about, do you know where it is in your house right now? If this one kept you up, hit subscribe. There's a new one waiting every week, and the next one might be closer to home than you think.